So what sort of a student were you then?
I've always been talkative, so low-level destruction was probably my favourite pastime.
So Keans, they're notorious for high call rates, a lot of customer visits.
So the phone calls 80 was Friday and Mondays. The 15 visits was Tuesday to Thursday. So 5 a day was expected.
What about challenges in your career then?
One of the biggest challenges was going to Romania for a commission. You have to know what you're talking about and understand your full machine. You can never stop learning from people around you.
I was always around engineering. So my family had a machine tool fitters. So granddad, nan, auntie, uncle, dad, all involved in the business. I was there all the time. It never sunk into me what it was. I just seen them all in overalls and my dad stunk of oil. What do you listen to while you're out and about? Any podcasts, artists?
I listen to
What an answer. Clip that, Dan, clip that.
Yeah.
Into it? You ready?
Yeah, go for
Ready
it.
to
Why
go?
not? Yeah, why not? Might
Okay,
as well.
all right. Let's introduce yourself then. Tell everyone who you are.
Okay, so my name's Nikesh Mistry. I'm the sector head for industrial automation at GAMBICA.
Who's GAMBICA?
GAMBICA, we are the trade association in the UK for industrial automation, process control, laboratory technology, and test and measurement.
Okay. So what do you do then? What does your day look like?
I mean, to be honest, that's what I thought when I first when I first applied to a trade association. I didn't have a clue. It's not really a world unless you're associated with it. You don't really hear about them. So, I mean, to sum it up, it's very difficult. We do a lot of things. We're a member-based organisation. We have over 200 plus member companies. We help them in different ways to set best practice. So it might be using market data and market trends to show them, the ways the market's moving, help them work out their market share, understand what trends are happening in the market. It might be through government lobbying. We've been, as a company, quite pivotal in quite a lot of different governmental consultations and lobbying on behalf of the sector for UKCA mark, for example, getting the extension, even though it took ages to finally extend it indefinitely. But, if time's going to be the factor, it's fine. But that's what we do to represent the members. We do so many other things. We do networking events. We do, council meetings. We understand standards and legislation is quite a big part of our day-to-day, helping decipher standards. We've got loads of experts in member companies that help do it. And then our technical director who gets on IEC boards. He's on IEC board to help understand the European side of some of the standards and helps feed that through to our members. So really is a broad spectrum of things. It's trying to help the industry, and I'm industrial automation. So all my members are focused in the industrial automation sector.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good overview.
I could talk forever about it. I mean, if you ask me what my day-to-day is, it could be different every day, which is nice. It changes the routine, so it's nice.
Okay, right. So formalities out of the way.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're here today to learn about you. So let's go right back to the start. Where did you grow up? What did you want to be when you were older?
So I grew up in Harrow, nice little town in London Village. Born and raised there. Spent most of my life growing up there other than university in Birmingham. What I wanted to do when I grow up, I mean, what do we want to do? We want to do something fun and exciting. I was into music and I was thinking, I'd be, maybe a sports star or a footballer or something, along those lines. And you constantly fight at it, and then you realize, no, it's not really going to happen for me. No, I mean, honestly, I was really into music. I did a lot of different things. I always thought about DJing, that sort of side of things. Never really academic, on my mind frame when I was younger, let alone what was happening in school. It was always a case of, do I want to do that and pursue that as a career? I wasn't really sure.
So what sort of a student were you then? Do you still go to school?
I liked school. I enjoyed school. I worked hard. I wouldn't say any teacher would ever say I was the ideal student. I've always been talkative. So, low-level destruction was probably my favourite pastime. Pretty much. I think, I was never a naughty child, but I was never like, I always had good grades, but never Never a teacher's pet either, if you like.
Of course. Do you have a favourite memory
from school? Not one, loads. I think high school as a whole was a good time. Yeah. I think it was. I think that if there was any part of my academic life I'd do again. I know people say uni. I did love my time at uni, but I think high school was good. Yeah, it was quite a good time.
Why?
I don't know. I think
it
was just I think it was. And at the time, you thought you had responsibility, right? You felt kind of like.
The day was long as well, 9 till 3.
Right, it was a long day.
Get a job.
And you do things and you meet your friends and you end up spending more time with your friends than anyone else there at university. Like when you're in college, you're working a lot, you're studying. Same with uni, but high school, while you're studying, that's only in the classroom. All the time outside of that, you're not. So I felt it was it's good time. I think it was enjoyable. You could get a lot of things done. And I thought, the teachers, I thought my school, I went to Hatching High School. I thought it was a great school at the time. Really, really good. And, got a lot of good memories from it.
Did you have any part-time jobs? So after you left school?
Yeah, I had one, and I worked, not in high school, because too young, but I was when I turned 16, I had a part-time job teaching. It was a tuition school called Swat Shop, which was similar to Kumon, but you do maths and English.
Okay.
So it was class of 5 to 12-year-olds, and there was like 2 classes every evening from 7 till 9.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for about 3 years till I started uni. Really, I carried on. It's quite a good job actually, because there was like 4 teaching assistants and then 1 main teacher who used to be a teacher, and he was running the class. And you'd have 4 different parts of the hour, where one half would be reading and then computer skills. And this was computer skills way before what they are now. It was you'd open Microsoft Word with them, get them to put a picture, and then they'd have to write a creative story based on that picture. That's all you could do. You didn't even have to be able to, Google anything or nothing like that.
Can't put it in ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. Now they'd have to sit there with Word and look at the picture and write a story.
Are there any moments from that job that have stuck with you? Anything that sort of helped you in your career, I suppose? Yeah, I mean,
I think working with kids, I think that was very, very interesting, especially when you're younger. You kind of have to be quite disciplined to set an example to them. There was a couple of us teaching assistants who were all the same age, and we used to want to have a good time, but at the same time we'd be like, no, these kids are looking up to us. So I think having kids to work with is very different. I mean, I think a level of patience, that's required to work with them. And, I think it's quite difficult. It's not something I'd personally be able to even manage to do on a daily basis. I think it's very difficult to be a teacher in that sense.
Yeah. So let's go into your career then.
Mm-hmm.
So Keans.
Yep.
How long were you there for?
2.5. Yeah, just over 2 years.
All right. So Keans are notorious in industry. I worked for a competitor, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And a producer worked for Keans as well. They're notorious for high call rates, a lot of customer visits. Your LinkedIn said 80 phone calls a week and 15.
Yeah.
How did you cope?
So it was, I mean, they called it the whirlwind when we were there, actually, because of the way it works. It's a lot of different KPIs, we called them. The phone calls was part of the KPIs. The visits was all part of the KPIs, the key performance indicators. And we had quite a lot of them. So the phone calls, 80 was Friday and Mondays. The 15 visits was Tuesday to Thursday. So 5 a day was expected. Which can be considered a lot. It is a lot of work. I think the way I got through it, I think there's a number of different ways. You just focus. If you've got numbers to hit, I felt I've always been a character to be. It's easier to work towards a target. So I felt, they've given me this target. You just got to hack away. It leaves very little time for that chat around the coffee machine in the middle of the day.
But, no procrastination.
Yeah, exactly. But then also at the same time, we had a young team. We were all together doing it, and you kind of look across the room and you see someone that's on the phone, you know, in a call, and you can hear them on a good lead, and that really motivates you to be like, oh wow, okay, I need to get someone to answer my call now to have a good conversation. So it really helps to be in that sort of environment. So I think that helps, you know, the way they set you up to, you know, you all stand in the morning together and you discuss your applications and what you're doing. It's competitive, but not in a bad nature. You know, it helps inspire you to work harder, really, because you see your peers and you want to do as good as them, or if not better.
Yep. Then the next move was Alpha Technology, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I sort of know of Alpha, a solution provider, I suppose, best way to describe it.
Yeah, machine builder.
Okay.
Yeah, from
So
start.
how did you deal with the change of being a transactional salesperson to a solution sales?
Yeah, that was really difficult actually, and the team at Alpha were very helpful in teaching me how to expand your horizons, really, because we come from one manufacturer or Keans, for example, you have your mind focused on one type of product, one type of solution, and you believe it's the best. You know, that's what we taught to believe, and then you go to vendor agnostic machine builder, and you're like, wow, there's a whole industry of products out there that, you know, can be used for different applications. So it does open your mind. You know, you also see now I'm providing a whole machine, so I had to spec the whole machine as opposed to just the solution,
one
the
component.
sensors for a sensor. So the understanding of pneumatics and mechanics, which I hadn't had before, I came from an electronics background. So understanding all the mechanics behind it and all of that was quite difficult. But having assistance along the way. And the good thing about Alpha was we had the shop floor there. So we had our sales team in office and, ordering staff and all of that. But on the shop floor, you had the team building the machine from metal shop where they're actually seeing metals, and right the way through to wiring, and you could see the full process. So I could at any time go to anyone and speak to them who were very experienced. You know, some were young, some were apprentices, but some had been working at Alpha for many, many years and had so much experience that I could just go up to them and say, you know, I've got to spec this for this machine. What would be your recommendation? What would be easiest for you to wire up?
Yep.
You know, what might cause you trouble? I might be looking at that, and that just helped me visualize the whole process, and even the commissioning at the end of it. You know, we'd go to where we're commissioning the machine, and it would be really, really nice to see that and see all the problems that happen along the way, even from a software point of view. You know, I'd speak to the software engineers and they'd be like, oh yeah, you know, it's just struggling to get this to work this morning, the day of the commissioning or something like that. So it'd be quite exciting to learn the whole spectrum of a machine. So it was different.
Yeah, different. Not just the sales aspect. But I'm speaking from experience. That's why I'm going to ask you. Was it a culture shock going from this big global manufacturer to a smaller OEM?
Yeah, definitely. I think no disrespect to large companies, but you feel like you're a part of a bigger company, and you know, unless you're the number one salesman, you're not sure whether you're even known by some of the top people. That's in any big business. You know, I think that's the way it works. But in a smaller company like Alpha, you know, everybody knew who everybody was. You know, we all knew the whole team. You know, I could probably name them all. And you know, it was very, very different. And you do feel like while you're more valuable, you've got more responsibility. You know, you do something different, everyone's going to know. So, you know, you feel like that's quite an important role to have. It was a very big culture shock. I feel like the working culture was, we're closer to everyone in terms of from the very top managing director right down to anybody. Really. It was so nice. It was nice.
Okay. So what was the step after Alpha? Where did you go there?
So Alpha was, it came to a point where I'd worked in now for about 4 or 5 years in sales engineering, if you like, because Alpha was still account management, was still selling. And I got to a point where I thought, I actually got offered an opportunity to move abroad. And that was when I decided to change my career for that move.
Okay.
It was more a combination of, this is an opportunity that I don't know if I'll ever get again. And I'd got to a point where I thought, okay, I love engineering, I always have. They're offering me something different. Can I do it? It was a challenge I set myself. I knew it was still sales, so I thought, why not? Let me try this. It's a change, but yeah, I wanted to go live in Barcelona really as well, so changed everything.
Okay, doing what?
So it was financial services.
Right.
So I was working for a company called De Vere.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went I went from being, again, that was another one. We were a bit of a senior position, working down to being a business development manager, where we just, again, back to making calls, finding leads, finding prospects to help them with their financial investments. Completely different world. We had to study and learn about pensions and investments and corporate bonds, and completely different world. But
okay,
it was something I wanted to try.
So what you learned at Keynes then, I suppose, on the phone helped with the job at De Vere?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
The skills were so transferable, and that's what I really liked, just being able to speak in a sales mentality. And you're still selling a product. You still called a financial investment a product. They were still referred to as that. And it took me a while to be like, okay, these are products along the way, because I was, you're used to seeing a physical product, and that's not the way it is. So you're still, once you get your head around that mentality, it works in a very similar way. So yeah, working on the calls, working on building your leads. And it was very different because you could, your audience or your target market was practically anyone. Really and truly, anyone who cared about money, which is all of us. So, yeah.
Other than, of course, Barcelona is an amazing place to live.
Yeah.
What was the draw? What was the push to say, right, I've built myself up in manufacturing, I'm going to change completely to a different industry. Yes, I know location, but you got to learn a new business, learn a new sector, speak. Did you have to learn Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I studied at A-level, so I was okay.
You had a head start.
I became a bit better conversationally when I was there. But yeah.
But was you burnt out? Did you need a change? Did it change the scenery?
I think it was a combination of, I wouldn't say burnt out, but I'd reached a point where I was thinking, okay, I don't know where I'm going to go from here. And I wasn't, it was a place, I was quite young, I was about I think about 25, 26 years old, which you'd consider quite young. And I got to a point where I thought, I just wanted a change of scenery. I am that type of person, I find I like a change, I like a challenge.
Yeah.
And to be honest, ideally I would have considered another job in engineering, but it was the opportunity came to me. And when that gets put in front of you, it's very hard to turn around. And, they offered a choice between Barcelona and Dubai to live as well. And, I chose Barcelona, I chose Spain, but it was an opportunity where I kind of thought to myself, if I don't try this now, I don't know when I'm going to get this. And that's really what it came to.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's a different industry, knowing that I'm going to have to learn something new, which I was very open to. And I thought, why not? What did I have to really lose at that point? I considered not changing my career. I just considered changing my job at that point. So it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on. And thought I'd try something completely out there.
Well, that says a lot about you, I suppose, doesn't it? You're willing to take risks.
Yeah, it was a risk. It was. I mean, it was quite scary, going into a foreign country, not knowing anyone. Here, if you move job, you still got your people around you to help bring that comfort. So it's completely new, thrown in the deep end kind of thing. But yeah, I guess I enjoyed the risk, really.
Right. Okay, so that brings us to now, to GAMBICA.
Yep.
So you're in your 5th year at GAMBICA.
Yeah, time's flown.
What because I've been in a similar position. I didn't go out to Barcelona, but I worked for the brands, and then I took a step out, and now you're sort of in this middle ground in the industry where you sort of know everyone, you got connections with things, but you're not on the shop floor anymore. You're not looking at machines.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? I mean,
it's fascinating. I tell you that much. It was something that, again, like as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really know what a trade association did. And even during the interview and after, I got an idea, I did all my research, and I still didn't know until you get on your first day and you're like, wow, okay, this is what's happening. You're all of a sudden sat in a meeting with all competitors. History tells you when you're working for companies, like you say, they tell you, your competitors, keep an eye on them, friends close, enemies close, that sort of thing. You don't really know what to do, but then you start realizing they're not actually enemies. Everyone has the same mindset. Everyone's got the same goal, profit, or everyone's got the same industry idea that we want automation to be at the forefront. Everyone has the same goal, target. They've got sales teams, they've got teams that are doing research, they've got managers, they've got other staff. We're all the same, really. And sitting as a trade association, being that mediator, understanding that we can help all of these competitors work together. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating. And it's really, really nice to see.
Do you enjoy it more than going to a customer and coming up with a solution?
Equally, I'd say equally. I'd say it's just as exciting. It really is. Having conversations with competitors in a room is learning. You can constantly learn. And while I miss getting involved in a product and solving an application, I hear that through them.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, I'm not witnessing it firsthand, but you're hearing about new changes in the market and you're hearing about different things. So it is nice. And yeah.
What's the big challenge that they're all talking to you about?
At the moment, adoption of everything, adoption of digital technologies, adoption of sustainable technologies, adoption of new working methods. It really is. It's a struggle. Obviously, digital industries is one of the biggest ones. Trying to get that change. It comes down to changing mindset, exactly how we were discussing before. That understanding that this will help you in the long run, but it's not so easy to see right now. So I think that's what's really hard, to perceive a 5-year change right now, and to invest in that is difficult. It is really, and I guess the idea of working in investments helped me there, because you can say it's not going to help you now, but in 5 years' time it will. Yeah,
everyone wants an ROI.
Exactly. Yeah,
of course. I was actually a guest on a podcast recently, a podcast in Poland, a distributor, and he'd asked me about the mindset in the UK and why aren't we adopting automation quicker than we are. And I think it's mentality. I think it's
I agree.
I think it's the British culture. We just keep making things work. We don't. If something breaks, you get something off the shelf or secondhand, and you just keep the line moving. To then go to these people and say, right, capex 250k. We're going to put an automated line in. Remove staff off the line, and they weren't doing that before supply shortages. They weren't doing it before COVID. They weren't doing it before Brexit. They've had a lot of push, and they're still not adopting it.
Yeah, it's true.
So how do you change them?
Exactly. And sometimes it's even not even a physical change. It's software. It's physical, but you can't see the changes in developments of software. You can witness it. Like you know the world. You probably experience on a daily basis where people have been used to doing what they do, and they're saying, why should I change it? Why should I adopt this brilliant software that Engineers Insight have come out with that's going to help so many people? They still don't realize that. And that's the same with digital technologies. They know it can benefit them, but it's that fear to change. It's that fear to adopt it. And the moment they do, I'm sure they will never look back.
No, of course not. No, it's that getting over that first hurdle of 250k up front, and
it's that initial investment. I think we all struggle to get past that obstacle, if you like. I think it's a challenge for the whole industry. I mean, it's getting better. I know the robot densities and things like that are getting better, but it's slower than we'd like it to be.
Yeah, we're still way behind a lot of other countries.
Yeah, countries that arguably we might not be behind. It's just the way it is.
What about challenges in your career then? Not industry. What's your biggest challenge you've faced?
I wouldn't say there's one. I'd say there's challenges every day. I'd say, anyone who's worked in the past, 6 years has had the most obvious challenge that we could have ever had, and that's working from home overnight. Going through a pandemic where everything is a bit crazy, but that's, we all witnessed that. So it's not really fair to say that's my biggest challenge. And I wouldn't say it was, to be honest. It was the biggest transition, if you like. It wasn't so much a challenge. It seemed to work quite seamlessly the way, we were very lucky to have working from home setups, so it was okay. But challenges, it's really different. It depends. I think I've got challenges from each job. I think, when you start your career, it's that challenge of making a name for yourself, trying to do those, you hit those targets, hit those numbers because you want to do that. You want to show that you're capable. You don't want to fall behind and be like, oh no, I didn't hit 80, I could only make 60. So, you want to be 90. Mm-hmm. And then you go on and you're meeting new customers. For Alpha, for example, one of the biggest challenges was going to Romania for a commission, and somewhere I'd never even been before, know what I'm doing. You have to know what you're talking about and understand your full machine and get asked questions that are going to challenge you.
So how did you prepare for that?
Just having as much knowledge as I could on the machine, and then I think having a good team, being able to know that I could call somebody for assistance immediately was always helpful. Mm-hmm. But research, finding out what possibly could go wrong beforehand was always helpful. On the machines, I'd always ask one of the first questions I'd always ask before a commission was, what could possibly go wrong if it's not foolproof? What's the fool going to come in and do here, just to make sure that I know the answer to do it? So it's tough. You always face challenges.
Yep. So something that GAMBICA is obviously very supportive of, very passionate about, is next generation education. How do we engage more people? You have a university council or a student council?
We do, university council.
That you're on?
Yep. Well, we run it. So me, myself, Scott and Steve, between us, and Steve Stedman, another person, we share the responsibilities essentially.
Okay. And what do they feed back? What's the feedback from the universities?
So it's a struggle. It's a struggle to find that. Well, the idea for starting the whole university council was to collaborate between industry and universities. Yeah. We've always had industry members, university members. We had a few, but the idea was that they don't always have the same wavelength. It's very difficult. So the idea to form that council was to tie the gaps, help bring them together in sometimes in really simple ways, like, oh, this is the right person to speak to for looking for a new career. Yeah. Or this is the right person to help with your research. What is it that you don't know what to ask? You don't know what you don't know, as always.
Yeah, of course.
So we had a lot of different brainstorms, discussions. We had an online event, and we came up with different working groups, collaborative research policy, linkages, and STEM. And we've got a full team working together to help tie the gaps, and it's really good. It's a really positive group, and a lot of work's been done in the past 3 years for it.
Yeah. It's something that I find anyway, just talking to colleges and universities, they all have this same, it's like they share this motto that we need stronger links to industry. That's what they all say.
Yeah.
And we try to do that, but it's how you do that as a collective. How can we all support education?
Yeah.
Because it's fine, little pockets of us doing it, but it needs a lot of people, because you count the colleges that are in the UK that have engineering courses. I've tried to contact all of them. It's a big list.
Yeah.
Same as universities. And then I go and speak to the manufacturers and they're like, yeah, we'll support you with it. But it almost needs this body to do it as a collective, instead of just, me running around the country trying to introduce. It's almost impossible.
Well, that's it. It's difficult. And there are, as you say, there's so many universities, so many courses, so many industry companies that could be tied together so much easier. But it comes down to that understanding between each other as well. Industry needs to understand what universities are preparing students for, and equally universities need to understand what they need to prepare their students for. What the working world entails.
Yes.
Without, you might come out of university, and be expecting X, Y, and Z, but university taught you something completely different. And we've all experienced that. Coming from first-hand experience, I can probably say the same thing. Don't really know what to expect. So it's about tying that up together, and there's lots of different areas that we can work on. I think it's definitely positive progress.
Okay,
that's for sure.
Okay, so let's go a step below further education. Let's say you're in front of a classroom of students. What advice would you give them before they look to come into manufacturing?
Please do it.
More of you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think you're starting with it. It's a good question there, because I do think colleges and universities is way too late. I think at that point you've either decided, or you're in between two minds, or you're already got some ideas in your head. But from a younger age, you don't always have that. And I think if I was stood in front of a classroom, I would tell them there's no rules. First of all, don't think there's any rules. There's no one method or one route or one subject even that you have to study to get to a particular place. When I first started my grad job, I was working alongside people who had studied all sorts of different degrees, but we were all in the same boat. And at the same time, you know that we've all learned different transferable skills. So I would say to that class that don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it from a different route. You don't necessarily have to go to university. You don't necessarily have to do that path either. If you've got an idea about going into manufacturing, learn what manufacturing is, learn about all the different types of manufacturing, understand that. And then you'll realize how many options there are to you. You've always got options.
Yep.
And if one fails, don't let that bring you down either. There's so many other routes, and use people around you. There's so many people around you. You've got, family, friends, you've got teachers, you've got everyone who you can talk to. Never, ever take that for granted, because I feel like I know along the way when I was younger, I met people who had said they were doing something engineering. And until I understood engineering, I never asked them more questions. I never understood, what it was. And then you start understanding it. And then I thought, I could have asked that person this question and got that out of them. And, you can never stop learning from people around you. So, yeah, definitely.
But I was always around engineering. So my family had a machine tool shop. So, not shop, fitters. So, granddad, nan, auntie, uncle, dad, all involved in the business. I was there all the time.
Yeah.
It never sunk into me what it was. I just seen them all in overalls, and my dad stunk of oil. That was it. Never asked him any. It's only now, like he'll do something with a drive or something, and he'll ask me. Or it's only now that I'm 30 years old. When I was a kid, I never even thought, and it was around me.
No, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what I think that's a good point as well. Look around you. You'll be surprised at how many things there are that might influence your future life.
Yeah.
That probably right in front of your face, and you just let it go.
Yeah. You mentioned, you've worked with different people with different backgrounds, different educations. What are the transferable skills that are important to have a good career in industry, but, it's not necessarily because they did an engineering degree?
That's a really good question. I think when we're talking about bridging that gap, people who maybe don't go to university and go straight into a working world, they've immediately been granted that mindset and mentality of a working life, that we don't have at university, that you're kind of told to learn this and learn that, and you have to do it to get a grade. Whereas in a working world, you're earning money. You know, you've got a driver, you've got to pay the bills, and you've got to understand what's going on. So I think the mindset is huge. You know, that transferable mindset that you can focus in your day-to-day job, but then you've got to go home and, you know, live your life and keep that as balanced as you possibly can without getting too caught up in either or the same. Whereas I think that, yeah, it's a very difficult question, that. Yeah.
So the one that springs to mind for me is communication. We talk about it with nearly every guest. Is just that ability to work in a team, or, you know, it doesn't matter that you've got different levels on the shop floor. They all need to be able to come together as some sort of community or team to build a machine, you know, if you're at Alpha.
Yeah, I'll take that answer.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. No, honestly, yeah, I think that is key. You know, being able to work in a team, being able to be personable as well. You know, be a bit empathetic, if you like. Understand your managers, understand your colleagues, your peers, everyone. Yeah,
which is hard in the early days. I think back to when I was an apprentice or just after my apprenticeship. I didn't think about how other people were thinking, or why they made that decision, or why the boss had a go at me about something, or actually, are they having a crappy day? Or, you know, now it's only now that you sort of, you know, you build your communication skills, your personality with people. Completely. That you understand it.
Yeah, we all have home lives too.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not an excuse, but you do think to yourself, now you're like, okay, someone might have gone through a bad day, so give them a break. Whereas before you're, you know, young-minded and you're just thinking, you know, why are they? I get that.
So you'll look for support from a lot of the big brands in the UK. Right? So they come to you. So what is it about you, your personality, that makes that work? Because if it didn't work, you wouldn't be in your 5th year now, and you wouldn't still be bringing on new. So don't downplay it, because I can see you're trying to.
It's difficult.
Be
it's
modest.
Hard, yeah.
But what's your personality traits that work then?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to see the light-hearted side of things. I'm always laughing and smiling. I think everyone knows that about me. I know that for sure. Even in a serious situation, I don't like stress. I've never, you know, whether it's at home, whether it's studying, whether it's working, I hate stress, and I'll do anything to avoid it. So even in a very, very stressful situation, I'll always try and smile, because I just feel like it just helps me as a person. You know, if I feel happier being stressed, it's fine. If I take it and I'm happy about doing it and just get it done, not dwell on the stressful factors. I think there's a lot of part of my personality that is always positive. You know, I like to stay positive, and I think that helps. I think that helps sponging people around me. You know, I like to see people stressed and then crack a joke and see them smile. You know, I feel like that helps me. And I think
that helps them as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, even when members come, you know, trade association work, it's always been associated with very serious work, you know, for experienced people. And I'll come into the meetings and I'll say, you know, why? You know, why are we doing it like this? Or, you know, can we do it like this? And I'll make a joke about something and I'll lighten the mood a bit. And when you've got competitors sitting in the room, that always helps as well. So, yeah, I think that's one of the parts I'd say. I think it's the extra personable nature that I throw out.
Good. That's a perfect answer, to be honest. I think I'm very similar. What do you listen to? What do you listen to while you're out and about? Any podcasts, artists?
I listen to
what an answer. Clip that, Dan, clip that.
I have recently. I've been listening to yours a lot, actually. But I don't listen to podcasts when I'm out and about. No. I listen to podcasts when I'm at home and I don't want to watch TV. Usually, that's me. I'll sit there, I'll turn it off, and I might be sitting on my phone, but I'll have a podcast on that I'm listening to. That's when I listen to them. I listen to music on a daily basis. I don't think there's a day in my life I've ever gone without listening to at least 5 songs.
So who's your favourite artist at the minute?
Ooh.
You're going to test my knowledge, because I'm not very good.
I wouldn't have one at the minute.
Okay.
I've got a very, very broad spectrum of music, from hip hop, rap to pop to reggae to R&B to
Do you find it helps you focus?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Always, yeah.
Apart from, so like, I listen to a lot of Fred again.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I suppose
I love my deep house. Yeah,
but only because there's not many words.
Yeah.
And it's just a background noise when I'm really focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like
a playlist on.
Yeah, it sounds like you're like me in that sense where you got different type of music for a different occasion. So if you need to concentrate, you've got, I'll listen to instrumentals. I listen to classical instrumentals sometimes if I'm working, just in the background.
Yes.
Songs that I don't know the words to, because that can cause you problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or that don't have lyrics, like you say. Yeah, exactly. When you want to concentrate, or you want to, when I'm cooking, for example, throw on another type of playlist.
Yeah.
Different moods, different playlists for different moods.
Okay.
But yeah, that's.
Do you consider yourself successful?
What's successful?
You tell me.
No, it depends on how you define successful. Am I happy? Yeah. If you define happiness as success, yeah. Full stop. That's easy answer. But if you define it by riches or career growth or position or, it depends on how you define it. And if you want to look at it that way, then there's a long-winded answer to those questions. And it depends on who looks at you, who sees what success is. When I look at success, I look at myself and I compare myself to the very, very best. And I think, I'm nowhere near as successful as Jeff. But, we all know who that is. But no, that's just a small way to look at it. You can always be more successful. But I would say it depends on how you define success. And to me, success is happiness. I think being happy in your day-to-day, enjoying what you do, making sure that, you're doing what you do because you want to do it is a success. Yeah. We all have day jobs. We all got home lives. We all understand that it's difficult. Not everyone loves their job. It's one of those things we do to pay the bills. So I think as long as you're successful in doing that, that defines success, really. So if you're asking me, am I happy with what I'm doing? Then yeah, I'm successful.
Good. The successes that you've had, would you attribute them to hard work or luck?
Both. I've worked very, very hard to get where I am, but at the same time, I feel like you've got to be in the right place at the right time.
Yep. It's a common answer. Right place, right time.
Yeah. Actually, it is. Yeah. It is. I think circumstances, situational, putting yourself into that right place at the right time as well. You hear about something, you hear about an opportunity. I think I'm a strong believer of you miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take. So that's a really good way to put it, I think, actually, because you're never going to get every opportunity again. Most opportunities don't come.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you don't get it, you've got no chance if you don't put yourself in that position. So I think, luck has a big factor to play, but also hard work. You have to do that work. You have to put in the research. You have to put in the time. And if you don't, you can find yourself lost a little bit. So I think it's a combination of the two.
Maybe that's the title for this episode. You miss 100% of the chances you don't take.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Yeah. So the last one then, just for viewers, listeners, where can they connect with you? LinkedIn, I suppose.
LinkedIn's probably the best way.
Okay.
Just follow me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Reach out.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Honestly, it's a pleasure to be asked to do this podcast, and
good.
Really enjoyed the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No worries. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for what you do. For like I mentioned it earlier in the pod about, it's when you take a step back from being on the shop floor and you realise that there's so much going on. And I commend what you and GAMBICA are doing, because I'm doing it on a much smaller scale, I suppose, with the brands that we're dealing with. To be able to connect all of them people and then do the thing with the university as well. It's obviously very good for industry, what GAMBICA are doing. So thank you.
No, our pleasure. And we continue to do it. And equally with Engineers Insight, I think all of these companies, you like you said, you are similar to us. And there's other companies out there that are doing things for the better of industry. You know, they might not be working in industry. We're doing things for the better of it, and often you'll find that when everything comes together, that's when industry works the best. That we've got the same goal, the same targets.
Yeah.
Pleasure always.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.